It's been a pretty hectic offseason, but it finally seems like things are settling down. There are still a ton of free agents out there and a couple trades to be made, but most teams have figured out their rosters for the season. So, in this video, we will be ranking every team for the 2026 2027 season. We will look at their records, their goals for, goals against, and some additions or losses that each team made. And for most of these videos, I keep it simple with A through F, but I want to do more specific rankings for this one. So, I did Cup Champ. So, one team is going to be here at the end of the video, I'll pick a team that I think is going to win the cup next season. You're going to do cup chasing, which are teams that are making the playoffs and going to be making a push to win the Stanley Cup. We have 99% playoffs. Teams that we're almost certain are going to make the playoffs. Of course, things can go wrong if, half the team gets injured for some reason. A team can miss the playoffs. So that's why I have 99% playoffs. But these are teams that I am pretty sure are going to make the playoffs. Then we have playoff chasing teams are who are going to be on that bubble, going to be pushing to make the playoffs, but are probably going to miss. Then we have out of the playoffs teams that are just going to straight up miss the playoffs, and then DuPont watch, which are teams that are going to be on the bottom of the league and should be looking out for Landon DuPont, the number one pick. I think he's still projected to be the number one pick of the 2027 NHL draft as of this moment, but we will see. Pretty sure a few years ago, like James Higgins was a projected number one pick in the 2025 draft. So I think things can always change, but that is what we're going to this video with. And without further ado, let us start with the Anaheim Ducks. Last season, they went 43, 33, and 6. They finished third in the NHL. Finished third in the Pacific Division. Goals for, they had 265, which was 13th in the league, and goals against, which was 288, 29th in the league. Probably not going to say the exact amount of goals they had and goals against for the rest of these, but just give you a little taste of what these teams are all about. They were 13th in the league for goals for and 29th for goals against. They won the first round against the Edmonton Oilers, which was very impressive. But they lost to the Western Conference champions Vegas Golden Knights. This team was very exciting last year. I was super high on the Ducks going to the playoffs, and I thought they would actually. I assumed they would beat Vegas as well, but unfortunately they lost McTavish this year. They traded for Carlson at the deadline and then lost him. And I think honestly, I'm not 100% sure about the Ducks making the playoffs, so I'm putting them in playoff chasing. I know that's tough on them, but McTavish is a big loss. Carlson, who I thought was I thought they were going to commit to Carlson. I didn't know he was going to leave after a year. They lost Trouba as well, so their defense definitely took a couple hits that I don't love, and I think they might have to take like half a step back to take two steps forward next season. But I do think there's going to be more of a playoff chasing team next year. Yeah, that works for me. Right in the middle, too, to start things off. I do like that. Next up is the Boston Bruins. Last season went 45, 27, and 10. Finished fourth in the Atlantic. They were 10th in goals for and 14th in goals against. And they lost in the first round against the Sabres. Buffalo, they added JJ Peterka, which I was gonna say I like. I mean, it's fine. JJ Peterka is kind of a weird player. So I don't know. I think Boston's. They just missed the playoffs like 2 years ago with basically the same team, with Florida coming back in. I think they're going to be chasing the playoffs. I think the West got so much. Not the West. The East got so much better. I think it might be tough for them to make the playoffs, and I think they might be on the outside looking in for most of it. That's tough on them. I just think they need they don't have a solid center. They don't have like a solid first line center, which kind of makes me bullish on them. Kind of same with the Ducks. If the Ducks picked up like a really solid second line center to be behind Carlson, I'd feel much better about them. But both these teams don't have like that 1A 1B center that you really need to make the playoffs. Next up though is the Buffalo Sabres, who went 50, 23, and 9 last season, finished first in the Atlantic. They were 5th in goals for and 10th in goals against. I think these guys are making the playoffs again. I would say cup chasing, but they lost Byram, they lost Tuck, they gained Crevier and Zellweger, which is, fine, but those aren't equal replacements for Tuck and Byram. So I think I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I don't think. Hopefully the Sabres are like a playoff team and a guaranteed playoff team for the next few seasons. But I think they need to kind of figure things out if they're going to be cup chasing exactly. Next up though is this team's a cup champ, the Calgary Flames. sorry Flames fans. They went 34-39-9 last season, finished 7th in the Pacific, was 32nd out of 32 for goals for, and was 21st in goals against. So not too bad goals against wise. I mean, having Dustin Wolf back there definitely helps, but the Flames are definitely on Dupont watch. Dupont being from Calgary, this is like the ideal place he goes. For Calgary Flames, for Calgary Flames, for Calgary fans, I'm really hoping that you do get Dupont. I think that would be such a game changer for the Flames, and having the hometown boy come home would be really really cool. Also, I guess I should order these by like how good they are. I do think the Ducks are better than Bruins, so I'll leave it there. The Calgary Flames, they picked up Nemec, Jacob Middleton. They're gonna have a full season of Matt Vagridin this year. They lost Rasmus Anderson and Nazem Kadri last season, but I feel like even though they have like their gains are halfway decent, they have Simone Nemec on D now, which kind of muddies up their defense. Having Nemec, Perek, and then say if they do get Dupont, that's a lot of young players that you need to give time to. But I still think you want to be at the bottom of the league this season. Even though the ads were halfway decent, I think for Calgary fans, for your sake, try to be at the bottom of the league. Next up is the Carolina Hurricanes, though. 53 wins, 22 losses, and 7 overtime losses. They finished first in the Metro. They were second in goals for and fifth for goals against. I mean, come on. Cup chasing for sure. Uh, we'll talk about Cup Champ later. But this team, they basically stayed exactly the same. Their older players are going to get a little worse, but for that, all their younger players are going to get that much better. So I think the Flames are going to be perfectly, not the Hurricanes are going to be perfectly fine, and they're going to be pushing to make the Stanley Cup Finals again, and hopefully win the Stanley Cup again. They went all the way. They swept the Sens in the first round, swept the Flyers in the second round, took out the Canadians 4-1, and then 4-2 over the Knights in the finals. They were absolutely killer. They tried to pick up John Carlson during the offseason. They acquired his rights, but I guess it just didn't work out. That would have been really good for them, but this is still a Stanley Cup winning roster, so they're going to be completely fine. Next up is the Chicago Blackhawks, who last season went 29, 39, and 14, finished 8th in the Central. They were 30th in goals for and 27th in goals against. Hawks, with the moves they made, they're not on Dupont watch anymore. They had the 4th pick last season, traded away. They should not be on. They should not be a bottom 5 team in the league this year. They still could be. They definitely still could be. They added Kane. They added Byram. Kanserov is coming to the lineup. They lost Murphy, Dickinson, and Crevier, but I think you can live without that. With having Bedard out for the first month will be tough, but this should not be as much of a bottom feeder team as they have been. Still could be eating off the bottom of the league, but should not be nearly as much as they have been in the past. Next is the Colorado Avalanche. Last season, 55 wins, 16 losses, 11 overtime losses. Finished first in the Central, first for goals for, first for goals against. In the playoffs, they swept the LA Kings. They had a gentleman's sweep over the Minnesota Wild 4-1, and then they got swept by the Vegas Golden Knights. The Avalanche are cup chasing as well. This team is very, very good. They lost Nichushkin, which is tough. Nichushkin was very, very good on this Avalanche team, but they get a full season of Kadri. They kind of beefed up their defense a little bit more for next season, and the Avalanche are going to be fine. Their goaltending situation is pretty much figured out. They have 2 really dependable goaltenders, and this team is once again going to be chasing for the Stanley Cup. Next up is the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are 40, 30, and 12 last season. They finished 5th in the Metro. They were 18th in goals for, 16th in goals against. They gained Valeri Nichushkin. They're also going to have a full season of Garland this year. They lost Jason Marchment, but I mean he was fine with Columbus. I don't think that's a huge loss. I think Columbus, I would love to say they're like 99% in the playoffs, but I think they're going to be chasing the playoffs again. With Fantilli's getting better, Jack Greaves is getting better, but I still think they're just going to be just outside. for most of the season, or like in a wild card spot. So who do I think they're better than the Ducks though? I don't think they're better than the Ducks or the Bruins. So that's kind of where I have Columbus right now. Unfortunately, I feel bad. I really like Columbus. I'm really rooting for them. They still have Werenski on the team. If Werenski leaves, they're probably out of the playoffs. But for now, as this team stands, they're chasing a playoff spot. Next up is the Dallas Stars, who were 50, 20, and 12 last season, finished second in the Central. They were ninth in goals for, second in goals against. That Dallas, I never kind of realized how good they were goals against wise. They did lose Maverick Bourque this offseason, who is like a 41-point center, but they're going to be cup chasing again. This is a team that needs to start winning playoff series. They have a couple wins here and there, but Stars needs to like make a run to the finals or something, because this team is way too good to be eliminated in the first or second round every year. Yeah, and they lost. They lost in the first round against the Wild this past year. I like this team a lot. Something just doesn't seem to be clicking though in the playoffs, and hopefully they can figure it out. Next up is the Detroit Red Wings, who were 41, 31, and 10 last season, finished sixth in the Atlantic. They were 22nd in goals for and 19th in goals against. And they lost Kane this offseason. They're probably going to lose Larkin. They're going to have Falk for a whole year. And they got Victor Arvidsson. But I think this team is going to be out of the playoffs. Better than the Hawks, but this team is definitely going to have to take a step back, especially if Larkin is leaving. I think they just need to figure things out, which is fine. They have a new GM coming over. Maybe going to like start looking at this team a different way, but Detroit is I don't think is going to be a playoff team. Hopefully they can, this season kind of take a break and a rest and not be, I was going to say pushing so hard to make the playoffs, but it doesn't even feel like they're pushing that hard. Sorry, Detroit. But yeah, I think they just need to like take a season to rest and like kind of figure out what their identity is and how they're going to be a playoff team in the future. One step back and hopefully two steps forward for the Red Wings. Next up is the Edmonton Oilers, who are 41, 30, and 11 last season, finished second in the Pacific. They were 6th in goals for and 25th in goals against. 25th in goals against is really, really tough. And you'd hope that they like fixed up their defense, but they didn't. They lost Darnell Nurse. They picked up Mock Medulin, but I don't think that's going to help. They do have Dickinson and Murphy for for a whole season this year. But the Oilers, I mean, with McDavid and Draisaitl, they're going to be a 99%. They're going to be a 99% playoff team no matter what. I would say cup chasing. They were in the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row, a few years ago, but I just don't believe it. Sorry, they lost the Ducks in the first round last year, and this team isn't. This team didn't get better. I mean, they got better compared to with Dickinson and Murphy. They got better compared to last year, I guess. I mean, losing Nurse though, like what is the trade off here? They really need to like get like some. They need to make big changes, and they're not making it. Goaltending is still a big question mark. I don't think Connor Ingram is going to be killing it this season, or Freddie Anderson. But yeah, they're a 99% playoff team to me. Next up is the Florida Panthers. Went 40, 38, and 4 last season, finished 7th in the Atlantic. They are 18th in goals for and 28th in goals against. They picked up Brady Tkachuk, Jacob Markstrom, and Akira Schmid, but they lost Bobrovsky and Mackie Samoskevich. These guys are in the playoffs. I'm nervous about the goaltending situation. I don't think Markstrom, even though Bobrovsky's stats were not great the last 2 regular seasons, I don't think Markstrom is going to be able to match that. I just think the goaltending situation is too scary. I feel like people are, and me too, are just like, oh, the Panthers are going to be back in the hunt for the Stanley Cup. But I think when you take a year off like that, it's really, really difficult to just turn that switch back on and just go for it all the way. So for that, I'm not going to be putting them cup chasing. I would be very, very surprised if the Panthers won the Stanley Cup this upcoming season. Getting Brady on the team is awesome. Their forward lineup is really, really good. Their defense is really solid. But that question mark in goaltending and taking a year off like that, I just think it's not as easy as it seems just turning on that switch. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Kings, who last season were 35, 27, and 20, 20 overtime losses is crazy. They finished fourth in the Pacific Division. They were 29th in goals for and seventh for goals against. They are losing Anze Kopitar this year. They picked up, they're going to have a full year of Panarin and Lawton. Picked up Eric Haula and Matt Zuccarello. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of this team. I'm sorry. They're just like 29th in goals for, and you made the playoffs. They don't play a super exciting version of hockey, which I know isn't their fault. Like, play whatever gets you wins, but hasn't got them out of the first round in a while. They got swept this last year against the Avalanche, and I think they're out of the playoffs as well. Like, they'll have Panarin, but Kopitar's gone. I don't love their defense. Yeah, I don't think I don't think the Kings are gonna make the playoffs. I just don't. I'm sorry. I just don't feel. I'm just not confident in it. I wonder. We'll see at the end of this video how, if we have like the right amount of teams in each conference making the playoffs. But we'll get to that later. Next up is the Minnesota Wild, who are 46, 24, and 12 last season. They finished third in the Central. They were 10th in goals for, fourth in goals against. They won the first round against the Dallas Stars, but then lost 4-1 to the Avalanche. This season, they will have a full year of Quinn Hughes. They picked up Blake Coleman, Maxime Shabanov, but they did lose Jacob Middleton and Matt Zuccarello. They need to make a. I'm putting them in 99% playoffs. I think they're worse than the Panthers though. This team is very, very good. Their center depth is not where it needs to be. That's one thing for me that I really find difficulty looking past in a team. You see the Stanley Cup winners for, how many years? Like, they have that solid 1-2 center core. Oftentimes they have three good centers. So Wild, Eriksson Ek is their best center, who should probably be a second line center on any good team. I don't love that, and for that reason, they're making the playoffs. But I do not think the team, unless they get a guy like Larkin, I don't think they're going to be pushing for the Stanley Cup. Next up is the Montreal Canadiens, who were 48, 24, and 10 last season. They finished third in the Atlantic. They were 7th in goals for, 16th in goals against. They had a great playoff run, 7-game series win over the Lightning, 7 games against the Sabres that they won, and then lost to the Carolina Hurricanes in the conference finals 4-1. But this team, this is a cup team now. I honestly think they're better than Dallas as well. This team is built to go far in the playoffs. This team is built to work in the playoffs. There was some weird stuff going on where, they need to figure out how to get more shots in the playoffs. I think that should definitely be something that they look at during the offseason, during the regular season. But this team has the center depth, has the defense, every single line on this team is very good. Like above average for, like, their first line is an above average first line, second line above average second line, and so on. This team is very, very good, and I think they're going to be chasing the Stanley Cup next season. They basically already were last season, so just kind of continuing that. All their young guys just keep getting better. They don't really have many older players that are regressing either. So this team, I feel like, and with Dobish and net and the confidence that he probably built from the playoffs last season, this team is going to be chasing a Stanley Cup for sure. Next up is the Nashville Predators, who were 38, 34, and 10 last season. They finished 6th in the Central. They were 20th in goals for and 26th in goals against. And they picked up a couple guys, Maverick Bourque, Ross Colton, and then they got this kid out of Russia, Vitaly Pinchuk, who will hopefully be good for them. And this team, even with the ads, I'm not feeling good about the Predators. I really think they need to commit to rebuilding, but they just keep adding and keep hoping that they'll add the missing piece that gets them into the playoffs. They have a Saros in net. I think they're out of the playoffs. I'm sorry. Their best players are all getting older and starting to regress. And I think they're better than the Kings. Do I know? With Panarin and Kempe on there. Do I think they're better than Detroit? Detroit with Larkin is better. I'll put them there. I think they're going to be out of the playoffs. I think they're going to be trying to make the playoffs and working very hard to make the playoffs, but I don't really think it's going to matter. Next up is the New Jersey Devils, who last season were 42, 37, and 3. They finished 7th in the Metro. They were 27th for goals for and 18th for goals against. They picked up Anthony Mantha and Evan Rodriguez this offseason, but they lost Simone Nemec and Jacob Markstrom. So I guess just rocking with Jake Allen as their goalie. It's another team. I have a lot of teams missing the playoffs. I don't feel like they didn't look great last season, and they didn't really add anything to get better. I mean, they lost Nemec, if anything. Like Mantha's not going to make up, and Markstrom too. Yeah, I don't think. I think they're probably on the high end of out of the playoffs. I mean, who knows? If Jack plays a whole season, like things could completely change. But who knows if that's even going to happen? So for that reason, I have them out of the playoffs. Just not feeling. Just not feeling good about the Devils. They need to make a big change, and they just haven't made that change yet, in my opinion. If you're enjoying this video so far, please, Scott Stevens, smash the subscribe button so this channel can get off the floor and on the board. Thank you all so much for your support so far. Next up, those are the New York Islanders, who last season were 43, 34, and 5, finished 6th in the Metro. They were 25th in goals for and 5th in goals against. And they basically kept their team the same. Islanders at some points during last season seemed like they were going to be in the playoffs. And I think they're going to be chasing the playoffs again. The thing is, they didn't make any huge changes. But I think with like Schaefer getting better and just their chemistry building, they're going to have who's the new coach? Pete DeBoer, I think, is a new coach. Whole year of Pete DeBoer instead of Patrick Waugh. So weird that Patrick Waugh like basically was their coach for almost the whole season, then got fired right at the end. But I do think the Islanders are going to be playoff chasing. They're like always chasing the playoffs. Do I think they're better than Columbus? Oh, wow. Like Horvat and Barzal are two solid centers. I think I like them. I think I like them more than Columbus. Feel like they probably fit in there. Sorry, that was so dramatic going between them, but that's where I think the New York Islanders fit. Next is their New York brethren, the New York Rangers, who last season were 34, 39, and 9, finished 8th in the Metro. They were 23rd in goals against and 15th for or 23rd for goals for and 15th for goals against. And they picked up some guys this season. They got Dorofeyev, they got Bjorkstrand, they got Durzi, they got Joe Veleno down there on the fourth line, killer. But they did lose Vincent Trocheck and Artemi Panarin. I don't understand what this Rangers team is doing. They said they were rebuilding. They said they were going to like take a step back, and they did. They got rid of Trocheck and Panarin, but they just picked up other older players like Bjorkstrand, Dorofeyev, and Durzi. I don't get what the game plan for this team is. It's like frustrating. Like they need to like just like tank. I know having Shesterkin and net, it's hard to tank, but this team is like 100% out of the playoffs for me. And I don't really think it's a question. I think they're probably still better than the Hawks, but this isn't a playoff team for me. Like instead of just like getting rid of guys and like bottoming out a little bit, they replaced Panarin with a worse version of him with Dorofeyev. I don't get the strategy at all. If you're a Rangers fan, let me know in the comments what you think. I'm not trying to be shitty about it, but I just don't get what the perspective is or what the plan is going forward, because outwardly like you're saying that you're rebuilding, but then you make moves like this where you're kind of just you're making it so you're not going to get a good draft pick, basically. Like you're just keeping yourself in that limbo between the playoffs and being at the bottom of the league, which I don't completely get. But you know, you do you, Rangers. Let me know in the comments below what's going on here. Next up, though, was the Ottawa Senators, who last season were 44, 27, and 11. They finished 5th in the Atlantic. They were 8th in goals for, 13th in goals against, and they lost in the first round to Carolina Hurricanes. But you know, who didn't lose to the Hurricanes this last playoffs? They picked up William Eklund, but they lost Brady Tkachuk for it. I think, as good as Brady was, I think there was like some weird feelings between Brady and some of the other players on his team. So I think Ottawa is still going to be a playoff chasing team. I still really like this roster. Like the offense takes a little bit of a hit, but Eklund is a very, very good like replacement for him. Like Eklund will be what 60, 70 points for them. That's basically what Brady put up too. Not as physical, of course, but maybe that'll work out for them. Maybe they'll find a new aspect of their game that'll be more even more successful for them. And for that, I'm putting these Sabres in playoff chasing as well, or not the Sabres, the Senators. But do I think they're better than? I think they're better than New York. Their defense is very good. I like them more than Boston. I like them more than the Ducks too. Maybe I should put the Ducks down. Oh no, I'm not feeling great about the Ducks. Just as I think about it, as I think McTavish being gone, no Carlson, no John Carlson. If I've been saying Carlson this whole time, I'm talking about John Carlson. Do I think worse than? I think they're probably there. Sorry, Ducks fans. Next up, though, is the Philadelphia Flyers, who last season were 43, 27, and 12. Finished third in the Metro, 21st for goals for, and 9th for goals against. They won the first round against Pittsburgh, but then lost 4-0 to the Carolina Hurricanes. Got swept. And this seems good. This seems staying good. I think this is like a 99% playoff team to me. They didn't change much. They almost got Leo Carlson, but this team is staying as is, and this team was a playoff team last year. Vladar had such a good playoff run. I think that's going to carry over to the regular season. I think this team's going to make the playoffs. I don't think I'm pretty positive. We said the East is getting tougher, but Flyers are still a very good team. So to me, they're making the playoffs. Next up is the Pittsburgh Penguins, who last season were 41, 25, and 16, finished second in the Metro. They were third for goals for and 24th for goals against, and they lost to the Flyers in the first round, 4-2. They picked up Kuzmenko and Trevor Van Riemsdyk. They did lose Stuart Skinner this season, which, I mean, Skinner's not a great starting goalie, but they basically don't have a solid starter. They have Shilovs, I guess, but I don't know how much I trust him. I like Kuzmenko's a fine addition. Trevor Van Riemsdyk, I mean, is fine too. I don't know. Like Crosby, Letang, Carlson, Malkin, all getting older. I think this team's gonna be chasing the playoffs. I think they're probably right here. I don't, especially with the East getting more difficult. I don't think they're gonna be not as. I mean, I didn't even expect them to make the playoffs last year, but I don't think it's gonna be as easy for them this season. So I think they're gonna be playoff chasing for sure. Next up, though, is the San Jose Sharks, who last season were 39, 35, and 8. They finished 5th in the Pacific. They were 17th in goals for and 30th for goals against. They lost Mario Ferraro, but they gained a few guys. They have a full season of Chernyshov next year, a full season of Sherwood, picked up Jason Marchment, got Ivar Stenberg in the draft, picked up Jacob Trouba, picked up Darnell Nurse, picked up Michael Kessering. They obviously had issues with defense last year, being 30th for goals against. And instead of picking up like one sick defenseman, they just picked up like 3 okay ones. I don't think Trouba and Nurse are gonna be great for their defense. Kessering, I'm really hoping that he makes a jump this year and he kind of prove himself on the Sharks, but this team's chasing the playoffs for sure. I don't even know if chasing is like the appropriate word because I only have 1, 2, 3. I have like 9 teams. I mean, no, that's not too bad. No, yeah, but Sharks are gonna be taking a jump next season. No matter how I feel about their defense and how I feel about guys like Trouba and Nurse, their defense is objectively better, and that's going to help them get into playoffs. Their offense is going to be insane, especially with Stenberg on there. Marchment providing some like extra depth on their team too. This lineup is very, very good. They're going to be making the playoffs. I hope that these big contracts that they signed don't screw them in the future, but right now this team is looking very, very good. Next up is the Seattle Kraken, who last season were 34, 37, and 11. They finished 6th in the Pacific. They were 28th in goals for and 23rd for goals against. And these guys got to be on DuPont watch. I'm sorry, but this team doesn't have an identity. It hasn't like figured. They need like a star on their team. They just don't have that yet. I think a lot of discourse about the Kraken is that they're not a very exciting team, and I think they need a high draft pick to become an exciting team, to become a destination that players want to go to, because right now That's just not how the team is. And it's unfortunate. Having hockey in Seattle is so cool, but it just hasn't worked out so far. I like the guys on the team. I like guys like Maddie Beniers, but Joey Decorda is great too. But they need one of these high picks. Their highest pick was Beniers, but that was like during the weird COVID years. They need like a real big star for this team to really help things out. And they're in a weird middle ground where they're like not bad enough to get a high pick. I think they just kind of need to commit to being bad. And losing Marchment will definitely help a little bit. I know Marchment wasn't great on there, but either way, they picked up Samoskevich as well, which I like. Samoskevich is a nice young player that I feel like Seattle fans will really like on their team. But I do think you kind of need to start looking at bottoming out and trying to get one of these high picks soon. Next up is the St. Louis Blues, who last season were 37, 33, and 12. They finished fifth in the Central. They were 24th for goals for and 19th for goals against. They lost Jordan Kyrou and Braden Shen, but they picked up Connor McMichael, Mason McTavish, and Brandon Carlo. I like the moves that the Blues made in the offseason. The second half of last year, they looked really good. Hoffer was Hofer. Hoffer was great in net. Their first line was killer. I like this team. I don't think I think like kind of last year it's like, oh, the Blues are on a downswing. We're gonna have to start, they're gonna start being like bottom feeders in the league. But I don't think that's true. I do think they're gonna be chasing a playoff spot. I think like I like McTavish as an ad too, and McMichael. I talked about this when I graded every move on July 1st, and McMichael had like comparable stats to Jordan Kyrou, so I don't think it's as big as a loss as people think it is losing McMichael. I think I like the Blues more than I mean like they have that two center. They have McTavish and Thomas down the middle, which I love to see, and it's like that's how you build a playoff team. And I think do I like them more than the Islanders? No. I think they're like Boston doesn't have that great center depth, but they have like they have Pasternak, which you know he's a monster. So I think that's kind of where I am with the Blues, chasing the playoffs again. I like this team. I'm a Hawks fan, so these guys should be my rivals, but I can't be too mad at them. I like their lineup. Next up is the Tampa Bay Lightning, who last season were 50, 26, and 6, finished second in the Atlantic. They were fourth in goals for and third for goals against. They lost Darren Radish, but they picked up Ilya Mikheyev and John Carlson. They, had a awesome 7-game series against the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs. This is a cup chasing team. I like them more than Dallas. Tampa's very, very good. It's weird how they can't figure it out in the playoffs, but they're losing Radish, which sucks. But picking up John Carlson, that's a solid replacement. Ilya Mikheyev is one of my favorite guys in the league. He's going to be a defensive and penalty killing beast for them. Tampa fans are going to love this guy. But I think that's, yeah. It's weird you say cup chasing, but like then they struggle to get out of the first round. But this team is like a cup chasing team. Like this team is built to win a Stanley Cup. I don't know why they can't figure it out. I don't know why Kucherov falls asleep in the playoffs. But this team on paper should be chasing the Stanley Cup. Next up is the Toronto Maple Leafs, who last season were 32, 36, and 14. They were 8th in the Atlantic. They were 16th in goals for and 31st for goals against. They gained a lot of things too. They gained McKenna, Bluger. They solidified a fourth line with Paul Sissons and Duhaime. Picked up Darren Radish, Scott Emil Andre, and have Andre Burakovsky, Andre Burakovsky. Sergei Bobrovsky. This team looks good. I don't think they're chasing the cup yet. I really like the lineup, and on paper, this team could win a cup. But I just like building chemistry. You can't do it in 1 year. I think it's too much of an ask to expect them to win the Stanley Cup now. I think they're going to have this year to kind of figure things out and figure out how to gel. And then next year will be the year that they're starting to like go for the cup. But I think they have Matthews Tavares down the middle. Yeah, I like this lineup a lot. Bobrovsky, I do have questions about because he's had two not great seasons. But I think the Maple Leafs are still going to make it a really big push in the playoffs, and they're going to make the playoffs either way. Next up is the Utah Mammoth, who last season were 43, 33, and 6. They were fourth in the Central. They were 10th in goals for, 10th in goals against. Just a very, that's such so satisfying. They lost to Vegas in the first round 4-2. They picked up Anders Lee, Vincent Trocek. They'll have a full season of Mackenzie Weegar, and hopefully TJ Gidden will be joining the lineup. And they lost JJ Paterka. Paterka, who like is an okay, he's a good player, but he just like is like really struggling to fit in the league. And to me, the Mammoth are a playoff team, are 100% a playoff team, or 99%. Sorry, I like their lineup a lot. Do I think like their pickups were really good too? Like Trocek and Lee are gonna be really solidify like their bottom six. Ooh, where do I put them though? Vejmelka and Net is very solid. Teej coming in would be awesome. Do I like him more than the Leafs? Is kind of my question. I'm gonna put over the Leafs. I'm gonna put him over the Leafs. They don't have the stars. They don't have like they don't have the Matthews. They don't have the Nylander. But the team is, I think, more well rounded. They've already built up chemistry. They have goaltending lockdown. Vejmelka is can be very good. I like this team a lot. Genther, 40-goal guy. This team has figured it out. I think I was surprised when they lost to Vegas because I think this team is a lot better than a lot of people give them credit for. Next up is the Vancouver Canucks, who last season went 25, 49, and 8 and finished 8th in the Pacific. They were 30th in goals for and 32nd in goals against. This year, they'll have a full season of Rossi and Bouillon, but they did lose Quinn Hughes, Kiefer Sherwood, Connor Garland, and Tyler Myers since the beginning of last season. And this is a super DuPont watch team. This is the worst team in the league. Oh, so Seattle's better than Calgary. Vancouver worse than Calgary. Um, yeah, I mean, come on, they need it. They the Canucks need a high pick like that would wrap their rebuild in a nice bow. I don't hate the roster. They have some youth on the team. They need more youth though. I don't think their prospect pool is very good or very comparable to a lot of other really good prospect pools. They're just starting to rebuild. I mean, they were just like President's Trophy winners a few years ago. So it's going to be difficult, but for now, the Canucks are on DuPont watch. Next up is the Vegas Golden Knights, who last season were 39, 26, and 17, finished first in the Pacific. They were 14th in goals against and 12th, or 14th in goals for and 12th for goals against. Last season, they lost in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Carolina Hurricanes. They swept the Avalanche, were 4-2 against the Ducks and 4-2 against the Mammoth. This year, they're going to gain a full season of Rasmus Anderson and a full season of Carter Hart, but they lost Pavel Dorofeyev. These ads are the losses are tough for them. Dorofeyev was really great goal scoring wise. Anderson, I was not super impressed with. Hart is kind of up and down goaltending wise. I do think this is still a playoff team, but I don't think they're going to be chasing the cup this year. I think I put them. I mean, this is a still very well constructed roster. I'll put them up there by the Panthers. I think the Panthers are still better, but I don't love their losses are tough. Like Dorofeyev was very very good goal scoring wise, especially with like Eichel and Marner like taking on more playmaker roles. Dorofeyev was a very good fit for them, and not having him will be tough. So for that, I do not have the Knights Cup chasing. Next up, we have the Washington Capitals, who were 43, 30, and 9 last season. They were fourth in the Metro. They were 15th in goals for, 7th in goals against. I don't understand how being 15th in goals for and 7th in goals against and you missed the playoffs is so ridiculous. Like, that's just crazy. They lost John Carlson and Connor McMichael this year, but they picked up Alex Tuck, Jordan Kyrou, Boone Jenner, and they will have a whole season of Cole Hudson. I think this team made all the right moves to be a playoff team next season. I think they're probably around here. I love Logan Thompson. Thompson is such a. I'm trying. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the Wild right here. Their defense is very good. Their goaltending is very good. Thinking about their centers makes me scared. I think maybe I have them here. That's probably good. Yeah, but the Capitals, Kyrou's a great ad. Tuck is a great ad. Jenner is great for their bottom six. feel like they really want to make this last push with Ovechkin. Thompson is, in my opinion, like a top 3 goalie in the league. He's very, very good. He's probably the reason that they were seventh in the league for, or what was it? Yeah, seventh in the league for goals against. I really like the Capitals, and I think they made really good ads this offseason. And finally, we have the Winnipeg Jets, who were 35, 35, and 12 last season, finished seventh in the Central. They were 25th for goals for and 21st for goals against. And basically, they just added Mario Ferraro, which is cool, I guess. There are a lot of good things about this team, but I do think they're going to miss the playoffs again. Just like they didn't like last year, they missed and they didn't make any changes based off that. I feel like this season they kind of need to decide: are we going to start tanking and start going for picks, or are we going to start just building adding to make the playoffs? Because being in limbo is not good for anyone, and especially not for this. They're like at the top of out of the playoffs, but I do think they're going to miss the playoffs. It's crazy because on paper the roster is very, very good. Okay, let's look at this now. Let's see how this adds up. So we have, okay, let me count Eastern teams first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we got 8 Eastern teams already making the playoffs. And then in the West, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. And then we kind of, I guess the West, like Sharks, Blues, or Sharks, Blues, or Ducks, I guess. So Sharks, Blues, or Ducks are going to make it in the West. But I feel good about this. I think the Flyers, the lower end down here, like Flyers or Sabres, could fall out of the playoffs and have one of these guys take it up. But I think I'm happy with this list. But I do have to decide a cup champ, and sorry to be boring, but the Carolina Hurricanes, they had an amazing run last year and basically didn't even lose anything this offseason. They look really good. And that was the Jack Vision ranking of every team for next season. Closer to the actual season, I'll probably do like a more concrete standings prediction where I go like where I think everyone will fall. But this is a fun way to start looking at how things might look during the offseason. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment your thoughts below, like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more.